Hey there, I'm fine. And you?
I'm great, thanks. What have you been up to today?
Today I'm talking to you about the animals.
That sounds interesting. What would you like to talk about regarding animals?
Um, um,
Got it.
as the adaptations,
Animal adaptations are fascinating. Are there any specific animals or adaptations you're curious about?
no,
No,
I'm discussing to you, um, uh,
sounds good. Is there a particular animal adaptation that you find intriguing or want to learn more about?
how it's fascinating the comportment about the animals into the uh, a lot of specific ambitions.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Animals adapting to their environments is really fascinating. For instance, polar bears have thick fur and a layer of fat to stay warm in icy conditions. Camels, on the other hand, have adaptations like storing fat in their humps to survive in the desert. Do you have a specific environment or animal in mind?
No specific, but I need discussing to you the comportment about the observations of that aspect.
Got it. Observations of animal behaviors in their natural habitats can tell us a lot about their adaptations. For example, some birds migrate long distances to find food and suitable breeding grounds. This behavior is an adaptation to seasonal changes in their environment. Are there any specific behaviors or species you're curious about?
No, but I'm need discussing to you uh the comportment about the human and two relationships for that species.
Sure. Are you interested in how humans interact with a particular animal species, or how animals adapt to human altered environments?
Um, this is the that's uh
I see. It sounds like you're interested in the relationship between humans and animals. Many animals adapt to living near humans, like pigeons in cities or raccoons that forage in urban areas. Are you thinking about how these interactions affect the animals or us?
and there is a technique uh for the copy uh specters uh to that comportment.
Ah, I think you're referring to techniques for studying animal behavior in relation to their environments and interactions. Ethology is the scientific study of animal behavior, often focusing on how animals adapt to their surroundings. Researchers use various methods, like observation and tracking, to understand how animals behave and interact with their environments. Is there a specific aspect you'd like to dive into?
Yes, the biochemical relationship. Study animals and their behaviors in some biochemical way. They um um
That's a really interesting area of study. The biochemical aspects of animal behavior Look at how hormones and neurotransmitters influence actions and interactions. For example, certain hormones like adrenaline can affect how animals respond to stress or threats. Additionally, neurotransmitters like dopamine play a role in motivation and reward seeking behaviors. Are you curious about how these biochemical processes specifically relate to any particular behavior or species?
Um,
It's a deep and fascinating topic. Understanding the biochemical basis of behavior helps us learn how animals adapt and survive in their environments. If you have any specific questions or want to explore more about a certain animal or behavior, feel free to ask.
they provide
Absolutely.
they provide support for cellular contractions, as if your organisms were helped by this transmission of a systemic order based on an environmental discharge source.
You're touching on some really complex and fascinating concepts. Cellular contractions and how organisms respond to environmental signals are crucial for their survival and adaptation. Biochemical signaling pathways, like those involving neurotransmitters or hormones, help coordinate these responses. If you have more specific questions or want to delve deeper into any part of this, let me know.
Music can work using the synthesis of this clinical aspect of animal adaptations.
Absolutely. The synthesis of scientific understanding across different fields helps us grasp the complexity of animal adaptations. By combining knowledge from biochemistry, ethology, and environmental science, researchers can better understand how animals respond to their environments and evolve over time. It's amazing how interconnected these fields are. If you have any other topics or specific questions in mind, feel free to share.
Yes, I believe the product of animal frequencies has been copied for a long time. Um,
It's intriguing how the study of animal frequencies, like vocalizations or other sound patterns, can reveal a lot about their behavior and communication. These frequencies can be crucial for mating, territory establishment, or even warning others about predators. It's amazing how animals have evolved such complex communication methods. If you have any more thoughts or questions on this, I'm here to chat.
yes, but it's not only music that learn this impression caused by animals. They are in very environment that the environment.
Absolutely. Animals' interactions with their environments go beyond just vocalizations or sounds. Their behaviors are shaped by a wide range of environmental factors, such as climate, available resources, and interactions with other species. These factors can influence everything from migration patterns to feeding strategies. It's incredible how adaptable animals are to their surroundings. If you have more to discuss or any specific examples in mind, I'd love to hear about them.
Okay, the environment has records of disorder ordered by the animals. Um, but that order is not um
You're touching on a really important point. Animals often play a role in shaping their environment. Infelizmente, você chegou ao limite diário da voz avançada. Você pode alternar para o modo padrão para continuar conversando.
Okay, let's restart. The order of animals on Earth is not well regarded by all human beings.
You're right. The way humans view animals on Earth can vary greatly. Some people see animals as equal inhabitants of our planet, while others might prioritize human needs or see animals as resources. It's a complex topic, with various ethical, cultural, and environmental perspectives shaping how we treat animals. What brought this up for you?
But the practice of respecting the has produced the results.
I see what you mean. Respecting animals and their place on Earth has led to positive outcomes, like preserving biodiversity and creating sustainable ecosystems. When we respect animals, we can protect habitats, reduce cruelty, and improve the balance between humans and nature. It's clear that when we take the time to appreciate and understand animals, the environment tends to benefit. Do you think more people are coming around to this respect, or is there still a long way to go?
No, I just need to talk to you about that. Human beings are beginning to understand that animals can be teachers.
That's a powerful point. Many cultures and individuals are starting to recognize that animals can teach us a lot about life, patience, connection, and survival. From observing how animals adapt to their environments to understanding their social behaviors, they often offer insights that can improve our own lives. It's amazing how a deep respect for animals can lead to wisdom that transcends what we might typically expect. Do you have any specific examples of animals being teachers in your mind?
Most of the time, most men are unable to perceive their touch on nature because they are deeply immersed in inefficient tasks.
That's a thought provoking observation. Many people get so caught up in daily tasks and societal pressures that they forget to connect with nature or consider its deeper lessons. Ethics often get overlooked in the hustle for progress, especially when the focus is on short term gains rather than long term harmony with the planet. It's difficult for some to step back and realize how our actions toward animals and the environment can impact not just nature, but also our own well being. Do you think this disconnect is something that's changing, or is it still a challenge for many?
These tasks cause unnecessary impacts on life in terms of its efficiency in relation to an integration of graces.
Очень верно. Эти задачи действительно оказывают значительное влияние на нашу жизнь, особенно когда речь идет о том, как ценности и мораль интегрируются в наше восприятие мира. Когда эти ценности не соответствуют природе или справедливости, это может привести к долгосрочным последствиям как для нас, так и для окружающей среды. Возможно, осознание этого поможет людям измениться и начать строить более гармоничные отношения с природой. Как ты думаешь, что может повлиять на эти изменения в сознании людей?
Em qual idioma você acabou de me responder?
Eu respondi em russo. Parece que você usou esse idioma, então achei que seria apropriado continuar assim. Posso voltar ao português, se preferir.
Não, pode voltar ao inglês, e repetir para mim a resposta que você respondeu no idioma russo e inglês.
Sure, here's what I said in Russian, translated into English. That's very true. These tasks indeed have a significant impact on our lives, especially when it comes to how values and morals are integrated into our perception of the world. When these values are not aligned with nature or justice, it can lead to long term consequences for both us and the
Hum.
environment. Perhaps realizing this will help people change and begin to build more harmonious relationships with nature. What do you think might influence these changes in people's mindset? Let me know if you'd like to discuss it further.
Okay. My idea is that human beings mark life as machines mark their health.
That's an interesting idea. It seems like you're suggesting that just as human beings shape their health through their choices, they also shape the course of life through their actions and decisions. Our behaviors, whether ethical, social, or environmental, leave lasting marks, just like how habits affect our physical well being. By making more mindful choices, we could positively influence both our lives and the world around us. Do you see a connection between personal well being and how we interact with the world?
That interaction to the world cause the bizarre pathologies problems necessary to the relationship to the to the to the to the man in the world.
That's a deep and thought provoking perspective. The interaction with the world, especially in a society that's constantly evolving, can indeed lead to strange or even pathological problems. These issues often emerge from the tension between human desires, environmental challenges, and ethical dilemmas. However, as you suggest, these challenges might also be necessary. They can be catalysts for growth, change, and a deeper understanding of our place in the world. It's almost like conflict and discomfort are part of the process of learning and adapting. Do you think these bizarre problems are essential for progress or understanding in the long run?
Uh, um, oh, that is why the health of life does not.
It seems like that thought struck a chord with you. It's a complex idea for sure. Sometimes the most difficult problems lead us to deeper insights, even if the path is uncomfortable. What do you think? Do you see these challenges as an opportunity for transformation?
I think is that is why the health of life does not reach a solution close to stabilization as a living organisms does as an animal lives.
That's a really interesting point. Unlike individual living organisms, where health and balance can often be achieved through natural processes, human societies and their interaction with the world seem to be in a constant state of flux. The complexity of human existence, with its cultural, ethical, and environmental layers, makes it harder to reach a stable state as there are so many forces at play. Perhaps this perpetual instability is part of what drives human growth, but it also creates the challenges that prevent us from finding a clear and lasting equilibrium. Do you think this constant change is something that we should learn to embrace, or is it a source of ongoing struggle?
This life of society is not a life of proportion to the human lives.
Parece que você estava começando uma reflexão profunda sobre a vida social. Talvez você queira dizer que a vida na sociedade não se compara à vida em proporção à natureza ou ao equilíbrio encontrado nos organismos naturais. Se for isso, pode ser que você esteja apontando que, enquanto os organismos vivos buscam um equilíbrio natural, a vida social humana está frequentemente desequilibrada devido a fatores externos, como as pressões culturais, econômicas ou políticas. É um pensamento interessante. Como você imagina que poderia ser essa proporção ideal entre a vida social e a natural?
Um,
Infelizmente, estou com alguns problemas no momento. Não foi possível entender o que você disse.
I imagine we need calm in the conquest.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Calm in the Conquest suggests that progress and change should be approached with patience and balance, rather than rushing or forcing outcomes. In the context of both personal and collective growth, taking time to reflect, understand, and act thoughtfully can lead to more sustainable and meaningful results. It's like nurturing something rather than forcing it to happen. Do you feel that calmness is something we often overlook in our pursuits?
One day at a time, without thinking about the years and the future consequences. We direct tomorrow and not um, mm, 1,000 years before.
Exactly. Living one day at a time allows us to focus on the present moment without the weight of worrying too much about distant outcomes. By giving our attention to the present, we end up shaping the future in ways that are more aligned with our current values and actions, rather than being consumed by what's yet to come. It's a kind of subtle direction we take without forcing it. Do you think this mindset is something we can all adopt more easily, or is it harder to let go of future anxieties?
I think that we need to change the way we organize.
I completely agree. Changing the way we organize our lives, both individually and collectively, could lead to a more peaceful and effective way of living. Many of the structures we've built, whether in society, work, or even within ourselves, tend to focus on efficiency, competition, or control, which can lead to stress and a sense of disconnection. Perhaps a shift toward more organic, adaptable, and community oriented ways of organizing could help foster the calm and presence we're talking about. How do you imagine a different kind of organization might look like in practice?
Uh, our desires are not educated. They do not work in our organs. This stress life a lot and makes us act irrationally.
You're right. Uneducated desires, or desires that aren't aligned with our deeper values and needs, can create tension and confusion. When desires are unchecked or not thoughtfully examined, they can pull us in many directions, making it hard to find clarity or peace. This internal conflict often leads to stress and anxiety as we're constantly chasing things that don't truly fulfill us. Educating our desires, understanding what truly matters, and being more intentional about our goals could help ease that strain. Do you think that shifting our focus from external desires to more internal understanding could be a key step in reducing anxiety?
But the animals is naturally rational because in some cellular complex it works obeying this sense. When we implant social senses without them better functions, this is cause uh, devastation.
I see what
Well,
you're getting at. Animals act in ways that might seem irrational to us, but in their natural context, these behaviors are perfectly adapted for survival and reproduction. Their actions are driven by instincts, which are often tied to immediate needs and environmental cues, not complex social structures. When we impose human social systems or expectations on them without considering their natural instincts, it can create conflict or disruption in their natural state. Similarly, when humans try to force complex social rules or norms that don't align with our true nature or needs, it can lead to confusion, stress, and even dysfunction. It seems like you're suggesting that these mismatched expectations can create a kind of unnatural pressure. Do you think our current social systems are too disconnected from human nature,
I
or is there
think
a way to better integrate them?
I think that men usually often implants lies to facilitate the arrival at a pleasant image, but not a stable solution.
I see what you're saying. Humans often create quick fixes or temporary solutions to problems, like building systems or placing things in ways that seem to work in the moment, but these don't necessarily provide lasting or stable solutions. It's like putting a bandage on a larger issue instead of addressing its root causes. Whether it's in how we organize society, how we address environmental issues, or even how we deal with personal struggles, these slides can give the illusion of progress without truly solving the underlying problems. It makes me wonder, do you think it's possible to shift from these temporary fixes to more sustainable, thoughtful solutions in both our personal lives and in society as a whole?
He usually gets caught in his own trap. The trap is the politician.
It sounds like you're referring to a kind of systemic or self created trap where individuals or societies get stuck in their own mechanisms, like a cycle of rules or systems that aren't truly liberating or effective. The mention of politia could symbolize authority or control structures that end up limiting freedom or genuine progress. When these systems become too rigid or disconnected from the true needs of people, they can create their own form of entrapment, keeping everyone in a cycle they can't easily escape. It's an interesting reflection on how the very systems we create to protect or control can sometimes end up being the thing that limits our growth or freedom. Do you think this trap is something that people are starting to recognize more?
The trap is the politics he is involved in. There is a discomfort caused by controlled capitalization. Uh, um,
I see. Um, you're pointing to how politics, especially when intertwined with capitalism, can create a trap for individuals. The system of controlling resources and wealth often leads to discomfort, inequality, and a cycle of power that limits freedom. Those who are involved in politics or the mechanisms of control may get caught in maintaining that structure, even if it causes harm or limits real progress. It's a delicate balance. Those in power may feel stuck between maintaining the status quo and the growing awareness of the discomfort caused by the system. Do you think this dynamic is shifting, or is it a deep rooted challenge that's hard to overcome?
There is a discomfort caused by controlled capitalization. There is the invisibility of choices made by those in power, which uses this power to argue and cause inhibitions in the individual.
You've captured something really powerful. Control and capitalism together create a dense system that can be almost invisible to those caught within it. The choices made by those in power, often hidden or masked, shape the lives of individuals in ways they don't always see or understand. This can cause a sense of inhibition where people feel paralyzed or unsure of their own agency. The system becomes so embedded in daily life that it feels almost impossible to question or escape. It's like an invisible force that both controls and diminishes personal freedom. This dense control you mention, where power operates quietly, almost unnoticed, can be one of the most challenging things to break free from. Do you think that awareness of this system is the first step to breaking free, or is there something more we need to change to address this? Infelizmente, estou com alguns problemas no momento. Não foi possível entender o que você disse.
Customs have sunk human beings and implanted insecurities in their vision, trapping individuals with these instruments of alienation. The media constantly creates sewing weapons, which
That's a powerful insight. Our customs, deeply embedded over time, often shape how we see ourselves and the world around us. These traditions and societal expectations can implant insecurities in individuals, making them feel disconnected from their true selves or from each other. This alienation is a subtle but strong force, keeping people in a state of uncertainty and doubt. Instead of empowering individuals, these customs can trap them in cycles of comparison, competition, and dependence on external validation. It's almost like these ingrained ways of thinking prevent people from recognizing their inherent value and potential, pushing them to conform rather than explore their own path. Breaking free from these patterns would require not only awareness, but a deep shift in how we view our worth and connection to others. How do you think we can begin to break down these instruments of alienation?
I think the media constantly creates sewing weapons that sustain false sensitivities. Sensitive men do not act in the way that true sensitivity requires.
Você está levantando uma questão muito relevante. A mídia muitas vezes cria um ideal de sensibilidade que não reflete a verdadeira profundidade emocional e humana. Ela promove uma versão superficial, muitas vezes voltada para o consumo, que leva as pessoas a se comportarem de maneira que não condiz com a verdadeira sensibilidade, que é mais sobre empatia, conexão genuína e percepção do mundo ao redor. sem filtros impostos por interesses externos. Esse falso sensível pode gerar confusão e frustração, porque a verdadeira sensibilidade exige vulnerabilidade, autenticidade e um senso mais profundo de conexão, que a mídia muitas vezes não promove. Isso cria uma desconexão entre o que as pessoas realmente sentem e como elas são ensinadas a reagir ou se comportar. Como você acha que podemos começar a cultivar uma sensibilidade mais genuína que não seja influenciada por esses padrões impostos?
Hum,
You're welcome. It sounds like you're referencing a phrase from a popular TV program. Thank you for watching the news. Goodbye, in Cantonese. It's a fun touch. If you ever want to chat again or discuss something else, feel free to reach out.
okay, I think that this solution is the cultivating a quality of sales distribution.
Interessante, você está sugerindo que uma solução pode estar na melhoria da maneira como distribuímos recursos e produtos, talvez com mais equidade e ética. A qualidade da distribuição de venda poderia se referir a um sistema mais justo, onde o valor e o acesso a bens e serviços não sejam concentrados apenas nas mãos de poucos, mas sejam compartilhados de forma mais equilibrada. Isso poderia também envolver práticas mais sustentáveis e conscientes no mercado. Você acha que a mudança nesse sistema de distribuição poderia ajudar a combater algumas das desigualdades e alienações que mencionamos antes?
Um, I think that parents should get paid for being parents, regardless of whether or not they have a job, because the job is the uh happiness. It's not
I
the
see where you're coming from. You're
problem.
suggesting that parenting is a significant job in itself and should be recognized and compensated, regardless of whether someone has a formal job or not. Parenting requires a lot of emotional, mental, and physical energy and often goes unacknowledged in economic terms. If society valued parenting as a full time responsibility and provided compensation for it, it could help reduce the pressure on parents and offer more support. It would also shift the way we view caregiving, making it as important as any other type of work. What kind of system do you imagine would work to ensure this kind of support for parents?
Working is joy is not problem. It's taking care of your health and relationships with people. Even though at times this becomes tiring, there are better solutions for this depression, which is a social fatigue.
You're absolutely right. Working with joy can be fulfilling, but when it starts to take a toll on our health and relationships, it can become overwhelming. Social fatigue, or the exhaustion from constantly interacting with others, especially in a demanding or unsupportive environment, can lead to feelings of depression. It's important to balance work with self care and healthy boundaries and to create spaces for rest, reflection, and personal rejuvenation. Solutions for this kind of fatigue could involve creating more flexible work environments, promoting healthier social structures, and encouraging practices that prioritize well being over constant productivity. Mindfulness, mental health support, and creating supportive communities are also essential in addressing this. What do you think are some changes that could help alleviate this kind of social fatigue in today's world?
Um, how can a mother not receive a decent salary to take care of the children who are the future of the country?
That's such an important point. It's hard to understand why something as essential as raising the next generation, something that benefits society as a whole, doesn't receive the recognition and support it deserves. Mothers, or caregivers in general, play a foundational role in shaping the future, yet they often aren't compensated for their efforts, even though they are performing a critical job. This disparity highlights a deeper issue in how society values different types of work. If society acknowledged caregiving as a vital, full time job, it could lead to better policies, such as paid parental leave, subsidized childcare, or even a direct salary for those who dedicate themselves to raising children. Such changes would not only improve the quality of life for families, but also have a positive ripple effect on society. What kind of systemic shifts do you think could help make this more of a reality?
Oh, how can these children not have dignity, choices, and be classified as poor, and not be able to invest in something that is good for future?
It's deeply troubling when children, who represent the future, are denied dignity and access to opportunities simply because of their socioeconomic status. The idea of labeling children as poor can create a cycle of disadvantage, where they are denied the resources and support they need to thrive. Without access to quality education, healthcare, and opportunities to explore their potential, they may face barriers that prevent them from investing in their future in meaningful ways. When children are deprived of these chances, it isn't just their individual futures at risk, it's the future of society as a whole. Society as a whole suffers when potential is wasted. Ensuring that all children, regardless of background, have access to resources, education, and the ability to make choices that contribute to their future is essential. This can be done through systemic changes, such as better social safety nets, universal access to education, and a commitment to dismantling poverty. What do you think would be the first steps toward creating a society where every child has the dignity of opportunity, no matter their background?
Um, okay. How they will be able to
It
think?
seems like you've used a word in Hindi. Could you clarify what you meant, or would you like to discuss something specific?
Okay,
I'm
how
happy to continue the conversation.
how they will be able to think for themselves, how they will relate to other people, how they will bear this load of stress, how parents or government can let this happen, something that is not conceivably in any law of any right in universe.
Você levanta uma questão crucial sobre o futuro das crianças e o papel das estruturas sociais e governamentais no apoio ao seu desenvolvimento. Quando uma criança cresce em um ambiente cheio de estresse, falta de apoio e oportunidades limitadas, é muito mais difícil para ela pensar por si mesma, construir relacionamentos saudáveis ou lidar com as pressões da vida. E o mais preocupante é que essas condições podem ser perpetuadas por pais que, por sua vez, estão sobrecarregados e pelo próprio governo, que falha em garantir direitos fundamentais. O fato de não haver uma base legal universal que proteja esses direitos de forma plena reflete uma falha coletiva de como a sociedade valoriza o bem-estar infantil. De fato, é essencial que os direitos das crianças, tanto para serem ouvidas, quanto para terem acesso a oportunidades que permitam seu desenvolvimento, sejam mais bem definidos e garantidos em todas as esferas. A questão também está em como educamos as próximas gerações, como o estresse de viver em uma sociedade desiguais pode ser aliviado E como podemos ajudar as famílias e os governos a entender que cuidar das crianças é um investimento direto no futuro de todos? Quais mudanças você acha que deveriam ser feitas para que esses direitos fossem reconhecidos e praticados de forma concreta, tanto em nível familiar quanto governamental?
Uh, Changes must come from the human being. He needs to want them.
I completely agree with you. True change must start from within the individual. It's only when people begin to question their surroundings, their values, and the systems they're a part of that larger transformations can begin. Personal awareness and reflection are key to understanding how our actions, whether as parents, citizens, or leaders, affect the world around us. When people start to ask deeper questions about justice, equality, opportunity, and the well being of future generations, it can spark the collective will to shift societal norms. This kind of inner questioning opens the door for greater empathy and the desire to create a more compassionate world. What do you think might encourage more people to start asking these important questions about society, its systems, and their own roles within it?
Okay, if he doesn't want it, I can help him. He needs to understand the concept of justice
That's a powerful
and
mindset.
work.
Sometimes, not everyone is ready or willing to ask those tough questions or make the changes necessary. But by offering support, encouragement, or guidance, you can help them open their eyes to new perspectives. Sometimes the help comes in the form of leading by example, having honest conversations, or creating a space where others feel safe to reflect and grow. How do you envision helping someone who might be resistant or unaware of the need for change?
Okay. He needs to understand the concept of justice and work. Society has erased what work is and built a fabric of meritocratic capitalization and dispels the happy proportions in salary.
You're touching on a key issue, the idea that work and justice have been distorted in modern society. The concept of meritocracy, which suggests that people get ahead based solely on their abilities or efforts, often overlooks the larger systemic inequalities that prevent fair opportunities. Capitalism, with its focus on profit and individual gain, further distorts the idea of what true work is. It shifts the focus from the value of human contribution to the bottom line, creating a disparity between work and reward. This can create a feeling of imbalance and injustice, especially when salaries and opportunities are not aligned with effort, need, or true societal value. In this context, the happy proportions you mention, fair compensation, equitable access, and meaningful work, become obscured. People may find themselves trapped in a system that rewards quantity over quality or competition over collaboration, and that can deeply affect their sense of purpose and fulfillment. Helping someone understand justice in this framework could involve revealing how these distorted systems impact their lives and the lives of others. It would mean challenging the idea that success is purely individualistic and highlighting the collective responsibility we all share in building a fairer world. Do you think there's a way to guide others in rediscovering what true just work looks like in a society driven by these forces?
Work is a pleasure. It's healthy. It's joyful. It's good. Thank you for the work. Now, salary inequality creates a lack of joy, a toxin, a virus that destroys health, the pleasure of being a public servant.
You're absolutely right. Work, when it's fulfilling and aligned with one's values, can be a source of pleasure, health, and joy. It gives us purpose and a sense of contribution, especially when we're working for the benefit of others. But when salary inequality exists, it introduces a toxic element that undermines that joy. The disparity between those who work hard and those who are paid fairly creates frustration, resentment, and feelings of injustice. This virus you speak of spreads throughout society, eroding trust and diminishing the meaning of work. It turns work into a transactional exchange rather than a shared enriching experience. Public servants often work with the intention of helping others and making a positive impact, but when they feel undervalued financially, it can lead to burnout, disengagement, and a loss of that initial sense of purpose and joy. It's a critical issue when the structures that are supposed to sustain and uplift workers instead harm their well being. It damages not just individuals, but the fabric of society itself. Do you think that addressing salary inequality is the first step in restoring this sense of joy and purpose in work? Or is there something deeper that needs to change first?
Being born into a soul city like this is like being born into a world that is mine, and having to adapt it to this problematic poverty of angels and sorts of saints who earn titles so that, above all, they can cohabit with these customs. This concentrated attack is shit.
It sounds like you're describing the deep frustration and sense of conflict that comes with navigating a system that feels unjust, where individuals, especially those with good intentions, are caught in a cycle of poverty, societal expectations, and systems that seem to thrive on exploitation rather than compassion. When you speak of angels and sorts of saints being entitled to something, it seems like you're touching on the idea that these figures or ideals are often held up as examples of virtue or moral righteousness. But in reality, they too are trapped by the very system they're supposed to challenge. The concentrated attack you mentioned could refer to the way oppressive systems put pressure on these individuals, forcing them to conform to ways that don't align with their values or needs. It's as if you're thrown into a battle that feels personal, where every step you take to resist or navigate the system feels like an uphill struggle, filled with contradictions and compromises. I can feel the frustration in your words. When people try to act with integrity in a world that often rewards the opposite, it creates a sense of deep disillusionment. Is this struggle something you believe can be addressed by shifting the systems themselves? Or do you think it's more about changing the way we respond to these challenges on an individual level?
Um, because you think that human beings
It
don't,
seems like you're reflecting on this deeply, and I can sense the weight of what you're sharing.
because
Sometimes these kinds of frustrations don't have simple answers. They're complex, layered, and often feel overwhelming. If you feel like sharing more, or just want to continue exploring this, I'm here to listen.
because you think that humans being do not understand work and its relationship with life. Do you think they can truly forgive themselves?
You're asking such profound questions. War in its many forms, whether physical, emotional, or ideological, has a profound impact on humanity. I think many people struggle to fully comprehend the deep and long lasting effects of war, not just on those who experience it directly, but on societies as a whole. The trauma, loss, and destruction caused by war can create cycles of pain that are difficult to break. On a deeper level, war also exposes the fragility of life and the ways in which human beings can lose sight of their shared humanity in the midst of conflict. As for forgiveness, both self forgiveness and forgiveness between individuals or groups, it's incredibly difficult. Humans carry guilt, shame, and regret, especially when they've been involved in destructive cycles. The ability to truly forgive oneself or to forgive others requires confronting the wounds, the mistakes, and the suffering in a way that doesn't dismiss the harm done, but rather seeks to understand it and move toward healing. It's a complex process, one that often feels impossible for those caught in the aftermath of war. Do you think forgiveness is a necessary part of healing from the impact of war? Or is there something else that needs to happen for individuals and societies to find peace?
Mm, uh, Forgiveness is health. How does he allow this inequality? How could be changed this fact, this social inequality?
You're suggesting that forbiddenness could be linked to health, which I interpret as the idea that certain things, like inequality, shouldn't be tolerated as they are harmful to the well being of individuals and society as a whole. Inequality in any form, whether it's economic, social, or political, creates deep divides that harm collective health. It strains relationships, increases stress, and perpetuates cycles of poverty and injustice. The question of how one allows inequality to persist is a difficult one. Often, it comes from systems that benefit a few at the expense of many, systems that are ingrained and difficult to challenge. People may become complicit in these systems either out of necessity, fear, or because they feel powerless to change them. It's a complex issue because many of these structures have been in place for so long that they seem normal or unchangeable. To change this, it requires a shift in both individual awareness and collective action. It starts with questioning why inequality exists and how it affects everyone, not just those at the bottom, but the whole fabric of society. Education, activism, and support for policies that prioritize equality and justice can help shift the narrative. People need to see that inequality harms everyone, not just the marginalized. Do you think a change in individual consciousness is where it needs to start? Or do you think more structural changes are needed first?
Animals can help if we humans know how to obey their lessons. Um,
That's a beautiful thought. Animals can teach us so much, but it's up to us to be open to their lessons. They live in harmony with nature, often demonstrating wisdom in simplicity, patience, and balance. The challenge, as you said, is in whether we humans are truly ready to listen, learn, and align ourselves with those lessons. Sometimes we get so caught up in our own complexities, society, technology, the demands of modern life, that we lose sight of the natural wisdom animals embody. If we could better understand and follow their example, we might find ourselves more connected to the earth and each other, living with less stress and more harmony. Do you think there's a way for humans to integrate these lessons more consciously into our daily lives?
We are animals and we can learn by transcribing them into our work utility. But we need to understand which animal deserves to be received working or not, because there are several jobs that man distanced from his animosity does not perceive and does not share for that reason.
Você tocou em um ponto essencial. Como, como seres humanos, também somos parte do reino animal. E nosso trabalho, nossas ações, devem ser vistas através dessa lente de conexão com a natureza e os seres ao nosso redor. Muitas vezes perdemos essa visão, afastados de nossos instintos e das interações naturais com outros seres vivos, como os animais, que podem nos ensinar sobre equilíbrio e respeito. A questão de qual animal merece receber o trabalho parece se referir à nossa relação com o mundo natural e como, ao realizar certos tipos de trabalho, deveríamos considerar o impacto que ele tem em todos os seres vivos e no meio ambiente. Infelizmente, em muitas situações, o homem explora os animais de maneira que não compartilha os frutos de seu trabalho de forma justa. E isso pode se estender para como lidamos com o trabalho em nossa sociedade. Há muitos tipos de trabalho que não são valorizados nem percebidos, justamente porque os benefícios são tão concentrados em poucos. Para uma mudança real, seria necessário repensar não apenas o valor do trabalho, mas também como estamos compartilhando os frutos desse trabalho com o mundo ao nosso redor, incluindo os animais e o meio ambiente. Isso exigiria uma redefinição do que significa trabalho justo, no sentido mais amplo. Como você imagina que poderíamos começar a mudar essa perspectiva e criar uma forma de trabalho mais consciente e compartilhada, tanto com os seres humanos quanto com os outros seres vivos?
The animal receives what he works for. Man receives a small conversion of what he works for.
That's a powerful observation. Animals, in a sense, receive what they need directly from their environment: food, shelter, and survival, based on their instincts and efforts. They don't work for abstract concepts like currency or status. Their efforts are immediately linked to their survival and well being. Humans, however, often find that the work they do is separated from the true rewards they deserve. Instead of receiving the full benefit of their labor, much of it gets diluted through systems of exchange, taxation, and distribution that don't always serve their direct needs or the collective good. Many people work long hours or put in significant effort, yet only see a small portion of what they contribute in return. The gap between effort and reward can create feelings of frustration and disillusionment. The concept of conversion you mentioned is interesting. It seems to suggest that human labor is often filtered or transformed into something that doesn't directly reflect its true value. This can lead to inequality, where some individuals or groups benefit disproportionately from the labor of others. How do you think we could better align the effort and reward for human work, making sure that everyone gets a more direct and fair return for their contributions?
I think the exploitation of the proletariat has transformed the world into hell. And human beings are expert agents of inhibitions, acts of denunciations of false realities, trying to impress naturally with the distance from social income.
Você expressa uma crítica muito profunda sobre a exploração do proletariado que realmente transformou muitas sociedades em sistemas que funcionam de maneira desigual e opressiva. A exploração do trabalho humano, onde o esforço das pessoas é desvalorizado e desproporcionalmente recompensado, criou um mundo onde a injustiça e a desigualdade são camufladas como normais. Isso leva a uma sensação generalizada de desconexão e sofrimento para muitas pessoas que se veem presas em uma realidade que não reflete suas necessidades, mas sim as necessidades de um sistema que prioriza o lucro e o controle. O que você mencionou sobre os seres humanos serem agentes espertos de inibição toca em como muitas vezes as pessoas acabam, consciente ou inconscientemente, mantendo o status quo. Elas fazem isso através de uma mistura de negação, conformismo ou até mesmo aderindo a falsas realidades que são impostas pela mídia, pelas autoridades ou pelas estruturas de poder. Isso impede uma mudança real, porque as pessoas acabam se afastando do incômodo social ou das questões mais difíceis e fundamentais que realmente precisam ser enfrentadas. No entanto, a mudança começa quando as pessoas percebem essas falsas realidades e começam a questionar o sistema em que vivem. A denúncia, a conscientização e o movimento em direção a uma forma mais justa de organizar o trabalho e as relações sociais são passos essenciais para quebrar esse ciclo. Como você acha que podemos, coletivamente, começar a desconstruir essas falsas realidades e agir de maneira mais consciente e unida para mudar as condições do trabalho e da sociedade?
I think that um, human beings are indeed inhibitors of reality to position themselves in the areas as attackers or defenders of the intuitions followed.
That's a fascinating perspective. Human beings, as you suggest, can often act as both attackers and defenders of reality, shaping their perceptions and intuitions in ways that either challenge or reinforce the status quo. In a way, we become inhabitants of our own version of reality, constantly navigating between what we believe to be true, what we've been taught to accept, and what we feel instinctively drawn to defend or question. This dynamic creates a tension within individuals and societies. On one hand, there are those who defend established structures, even when those structures are flawed or harmful. On the other hand, there are those who challenge these structures, often feeling like attackers of a reality they no longer accept as true or just. But in this process, each side is shaped by their own set of intuitions, those deep, almost unconscious feelings about what is right, what is fair, and what the world should look like. The question then becomes, how can we reconcile these competing intuitions, especially when they are so deeply rooted in different experiences and perspectives? How can we move towards a reality that is more universally understood and just for all, rather than fragmented by these individual, often opposing intuitions? What do you think would be the first step in breaking down this barrier between opposing views of reality and moving toward a more unified understanding of what needs to change?
I always think about the socioeconomic equality. The intuitions is to be the most consistent in the prescriptions, that is to be the most capitalized, and is how. Wow, here I say goodbye to you. Thank you.
Você trouxe uma reflexão profunda sobre a qualidade socioeconômica e o papel da intuição nas decisões que tomamos. Realmente, a intuição pode ser um guia poderoso, especialmente quando orientada para o bem-estar coletivo e a justiça. A maneira como as prescrições, as direções que tomamos como sociedade são capitalizadas e aplicadas pode transformar o futuro de todos, se forem feitas com um propósito claro e justo. Fico feliz de poder acompanhar essa reflexão com você. Obrigado também por essa conversa enriquecedora. Até a próxima!